Here is a photograph for the participants currently in this leg of the FIDE Grand Prix currently being played in Beijing, China. This is Giri, world-class elite player, originally from Russia, now living and playing for the Netherlands. This is Gelfand, world-class elite player, originally from Russia, immigrated to Israel, now playing for Israel, challenger to world champion Vichy Anand in early 2013. Hi folks, John Cordisco back again with another great chess video for you. This was played in round 3 of the FIDE Grand Prix leg currently in Beijing, China. It's a series of tournaments leading up to the choosing of the challenger in 2014 for the World Championship. This was played on Saturday, July 6, 2013, between Boris Gelfand, originally from Russia, now from Israel, as white. If you remember, Boris was the challenger to the World Championship last year, or I should say earlier this year, to Vichy Anand, the current world champion, and Giri, a young guy. I've seen him at Vikings a little bit. He gets around. He's a really good young player. They're both rated over 2,700, so they're world-class elite players. And the reason why I picked this game, one, it was a good game, and two, is it's a Dutch, and I like the Dutch, and it's really fun to watch. So let's get to it. Gelfand is white, Giri is black. Gelfand opens up d4, d6, f3, g6, c4, and now f5. That means the Dutch. And they say a Dutch is not an opening for beginners. I like it a lot. I know Karl Nakamura played it a few times without much success, and he really buckled down on it, and he drew a really good game against Levin Aronian at Vikings A last year. So knight to c3, knight to f6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, castle, castle, c6. I kind of went through it a little quick. It's pretty much standard Dutch stuff. In most Dutches, you can see this, the f5. Black's idea is to control e5, excuse me, e4. If black can keep control of e4, he's got a good game. b3, queen a5, bishop b2, e5. Here comes the break. Now, of course, white takes, pawn takes. That's a really, white has no control over the center. So queen goes to d2, queen comes back, d5, and e4. Here comes the push. This pawn here is controlling a lot of key squares here and here, and of course he's got a nice pawn chain behind it. I like black's position already, even though technically I've got my computer off screen. It's about a little over 3/4 of a pawn advantage for white, but I don't see it. I consider this even. Knight to d4, queen to e7. He moves the queen again. Now, at least for now, as you can see in the Dutch, this happens a lot. The light squared bishop is pretty much boxed in, and it will be for a while. And this knight doesn't have very good duty either, can't get out. If the knight goes here, the bishop can't get out. So it's going to be a while before black develops all its minor pieces. D takes, B takes, rook a to d1, doubling up on his only semi-open file. Rook to d8 to challenge that, and knight to c2. Now, interesting would have been f3, and it would have won e3, queen here. That would have been interesting. That would have gave about a pawn and a quarter advantage for white, but that e-pawn for black is very annoying. After knight to c2, d5, and then he goes f3. Now, I'm looking at the computer here, and it doesn't show the e3 move anymore. And we all see why, of course, because the knight and the queen both control that square. Rook to d7. Now that move really surprised me, and oddly enough, that was a move, let me go back, that was a move the computer suggested. To the life of me, I've looked at this game, and I can't figure out why the rook to d7, blocking in the bishop and the knight, is a good move. Maybe some of you can leave something in the comment section below the video, maybe explaining to me why that's a decent move. After rook to d7, c takes, knight to b5. Right now it's pretty close to an even game. It's a small advantage for white. Knight to c6, he finally gets the b knight developed. And of course that poor light squared bishop's going to finally get a chance to get out. Rook to c1, and the bishop finally is developed. Now we're on move 19, and finally black has all its pieces developed. The computer shows almost a half a point advantage for white, but to tell you the truth, I like black here. I really do. Knight c to d4, knight takes, bishop takes. I don't think as good would have been queen takes. When it went a6, knight to a3, rook to e8. And that leaves about a half a point advantage for black. That's a good spot for that dark squared bishop there anyway. One, it keeps the pressure on this diagonal here, and it's guarding and controlling a lot of key squares here, and stops this pawn from advancing. So it's doing a lot of work there. a6, knight to c3, rook to c8. Now we're back to about an even position now, and I got to give the kid Giri credit. He's a young player, elite player. He's above 2,700, but he's playing against Boris Gelfand, and even though Boris is older, Boris probably knows more opening theory and new opening theory probably than any of the grandmasters, and especially the older players. Boris is a very methodical guy, so this is the best he can come up with against the Dutch. Maybe the Dutch ought to be investigated more for black. At least got players like me. Knight to a4, and he finally doubles up. Now I don't think that's why he originally moved the rook to d7, but maybe. Rook takes, rook to c1. White goes right after the file again. Knight to e8, rook to c7. Bishop takes first with check. Queen takes, knight takes. I don't think as good would have been queen takes, because a knight to c5. Queen to b6. Get your queen right down in the action. Now there's still 4 minor pieces and 12 pawns on the board, so with queens, so it's going to get complicated. Knight to e6. F finally takes, and D finally takes. I don't know why white just didn't leave the tension there, to be honest with you. If F had taken, it would have been bishop h3, knight g5, bishop g4, which is very good for white. after e3, stopping the advance of the pawns. I do have to say, in all fairness, looking at this, the e3 pawn's on a dark square and black has a light squared bishop, so maybe that was one of the reasons for taking. Queen to d7. Now the position is dead even. When I say dead even, I mean 0.00. Bishop to f1. Now the computer did that. It's kind of funny. I guess it's trying to show us that white's after the a pawn. It's kind of comical. Knight to g5. And bishop c4 check. Not bishop takes a6. Knight to f3 check. King to f2. Queen to d2. King to f1. Queen to e1 check. King to g2. Queen to g1, king to h3, and queen takes mate. So that free pawn wasn't so free. Let me show you that to you again. If bishop takes, knight checks, just to show that you could actually see it, even players of our strength. King to f2, queen checks, king to f1, queen checks. As we all know, a queen and a knight are very, very well coordinated together. King to g2, king to h3, and then mate. Obviously, a player of Boris's caliber saw that.
Hey, how about a movie tonight, huh?
Wow, what's that aftershave you're wearing?
You high karate aftershave is so powerful, it drives women right out of their minds. That's why we have to put instructions on self-defense in every package. High karate, the brisk splash-on aftershave that smooths and soothes and cools. High karate, aftershave, cologne, and gift sets. High karate, be careful how you use.
After bishop to c4 check, king to g7, queen to d4 check, which we just covered. Queen takes. Sorry about that. Now, right now, it's a tiny advantage for black. Nothing really serious. E takes. Now we have a minor ending. Knight to f3 check. It's pretty much what you thought. King here. Knight takes, so he wins the pawn. Knight to c5. Bishop to c6. Knight takes a6. And king to f6. And this is where Boris Gelfand from Israel, world-class elite player, challenger to the World Championship, which he barely lost, they had tie breaks at the end, resigns. Now, I looked online. I don't think Boris lost on time, very much like Kamsky did. Maybe he just didn't want to play out this ending, knowing he was going to lose. I really don't know. It's only about a third of a pawn advantage for black. I don't know why Boris didn't play this out. What I'm going to do instead is, actually it showed now, my computer shows an advantage for white. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this out with the computer moves and see why Boris resigned. I don't know why he did. I'm just going to take the best move on the computer for the next few moves just to see why Boris resigned. I don't know why he did. And I'm looking at the computer here and I can't figure it out because the computer shows this as dead even. F4. It equally shows G takes F4 and A6 is the same, so we'll go A6 just for the sake of jollies. E3 check. King to F1. Knight to B5. Of course, it can go there. It's guarding the pawn, but it can also be guarded by the bishop. Now it shows G takes. G takes. Bishop takes b5. Of course, bishop takes b5. I don't see why Boris resigned. I really don't. Unless the game I got off the chess base is incorrect. But anyway, it still shows it as even. Boris Gelfand resigned. And that's the game for today. Good win for Giri. Very rarely do you see a Dutch do so well at this level of play. I like the Dutch a lot. It's exciting opening. Leads to a lot of tactics. So that's it for today, folks. I just want you to remember that if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. And I hope everyone watches my next video. And please comment in the comment section below the video. And please subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye. Just want to leave at the end of the video. I did some checking after I recorded this video, and Gelfand did lose on time. So that's the second elite grandmaster to lose on time. Earlier was Gatakamsky. So I guess they're getting Ivanchukaitis. If you remember, during the candidates final tournament recently played in London, I think Ivanchuk lost 3 or 4 games on time. So maybe Ivanchuk is contagious. We'll see. Take care, folks.